You can take a good deal and make it a bad deal very quickly. You're not hiring an inspector. The biggest mistake first-time investors make is the first step in analyzing and inspecting a property to determine if you should buy it as an investment is the snapshot. The purpose of this section is to quickly analyze a property and know if you should throw it out or not. 95% of deals that are sent your way are not deals. You need to know how to very quickly know what you're looking for and toss them to the side. So in order to do that, you're gonna be looking at a few things. One of the first things is the lead source. Where is it coming from? Is this a direct to seller? You're talking to the homeowner, or are you talking to a wholesaler that already has it under contract that you're just gonna buy it from? If you're talking to the seller, you need to find out what the motivation and what the situation is, because we are here to solve problems. We wanna help people. We're not looking just to buy a property at a discount from someone and that doesn't help them. Now, if it's a wholesaler, they already have it under contract. You can rest assured that there was motivation, which is why they sold to them at a discount. And lastly, you want to go over the broad numbers. You don't want to spend a lot of time on this. Some of this stuff you want to figure out ahead of time. For example, let's take a house flip. What is your minimum profit you want to make? If you want to make $50,000 on a house flip minimum, you need to know that. Secondly, you need to know quickly what your ARV for this property would be and how much commissions it would take to sell the property. And then you need to know what your rehab budget would be for the same property. So I always recommend to come up with a price per square foot method on calculating rehab for both kind of a partial rehab and a full rehab. Those are the only two numbers you need. For me, I find it's about $30 a square foot or so for a partial and $45 to $50 for a full rehab. So I can very quickly say the average home is 1,800 square feet. I calculate what my rehab would be. I add in my minimum profit, my cost for selling, etc. And typically that's gonna cost me about $150,000 to $160,000. And I make 50 grand with that. I need to have a minimum of $150,000 spread between what the purchase price they're offering me is and what I think the ARV or the after repair value is. And I don't have to be perfect on that ARV. We are doing this quickly. Throw out everything that doesn't work. Before I go on to step 2, if you're curious to know what I think the biggest mistake first-time investors make buying an investment property, stay with me till the end and I'll share that then. Now, the second step is what I call underwriting. This is where you're gonna dig deep. You're gonna go over some of the same details you did in the snapshot, but a lot deeper. That ARV number you came up with, you're now gonna look for better comparisons, houses that are closer than before with the exact square feet if possible. You're looking for houses that have sold not too long ago. You're gonna try to dial that in and get as close as you possibly can. And then on top of that, you're gonna add in a little bit of a decrease, the depreciation we're having from the market because it's 2022 and prices are going down. You're gonna dig deeper on your rehab. You use the price per square foot method, but now you're looking deeper at the pictures. You might see a few things like windows, etc. that you weren't calculating on before, and you can go ahead and add those in because you're sure that's gonna be part of it. Like I said in step 1, 95% of those deals are not deals and they get thrown out. Whatever was left, 90% of that new total is also being thrown out here. So you're whittling this down to a smaller and smaller amount. The other thing you're gonna be doing is checking on the exact location of the house. Obviously, initially you knew kind of where the cross streets were, you knew more or less the city, but you really need to see what neighborhood is it in, because sometimes crossing one street makes a big difference. You need to know, is it on a main road? Also a big difference. And another tip is to go into Google Street View, and I want you to look around at your neighbors. You need to know, are you by a school? Are you by a business? Are you by a church? Also, you might be by regular houses, but there's that eyesore right next to yours or right across the street. And believe me, no one wants to live by that house. You will have to subtract value from your home because of them. That can drop your price dramatically, $20,000, $30,000. You need to know what's nearby. Complete the underwriting as full as you can. This is where you can take your time. You've already qualified the deal enough to make time for it. The last bit that I like to do here, more or less it's a backup plan to cover me, is to make sure I check my rental prices. Now, obviously, that doesn't matter at all when it comes to a house flip. However, you never know. The market has already just changed. What if the market decreases more than you expect and you need to now go out and get a loan and hold on to that property long term? You need to make sure that you can rent that house out for more than what the mortgage would be. So run those numbers, do yourself a favor. Now that brings us to the last step, the third step, which is visiting the house. If it's made it this far, it's worth your time. Go into the house, do a quick assessment as you walk in. You'll be able to tell if it's completely run down, disgusting, or if it's just dated, etc. And adjust your numbers as you need to. You're gonna have a conversation with, if it's the seller, have a conversation with them and ask them, how old is the air conditioning? You're gonna be able to feel if it's cooling down. How old is the roof? Does it need to be repaired? Are there any leaks? And then go out back and do a quick little visual check. Look at the roof, look at the fascia, look at the air conditioning, see how old it kind of looks. Now you're not jumping up there, you're not hiring an inspector. This is a distant visual check. You're gonna ask them about the plumbing, find out how old the hot water heater is there any issue? Make sure you put an extra buffer in for older houses, because a lot of times you'll come in, want to move the plumbing to add an island, but the plumbing in the ground and the concrete is deteriorating, and there'll be extra money that needs to be spent to do that. And the last part of the big items is if there's a pool. A lot of times they just list there, especially if it's a wholesaler, there's a pool. Oh wait, the pool's empty. The PebbleTec and the plaster is in disrepair. There's not even equipment there. You need to check all those things visually and see if you need to make adjustment to your MAO, your max allowable offer. You're not gonna offer any more than that. Like I said, you're not hiring a home inspector to come through and do all this. You're doing this very, very quickly. A lot of times you're in there for 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe longer if the seller's there and you're trying to build rapport with them. However, they're selling to you because they're looking for a convenient offer. One extra bonus here is if you're going to buy this house from a wholesaler, call up your contractor and have him come with you. If it was a homeowner, sometimes that can make it a little bit awkward, but with a wholesaler, have him come in, be an extra set of eyes. He can even tell you how much he thinks more or less the rehab will be, and you can kind of give yourself just that last double check on your numbers and then buy the property. I told you I was gonna share with you what I think the biggest mistake that new investors do when they're trying to buy an investment property, and that is they run their numbers incorrectly. They either miscalculate their ARV of what they can sell the property for, or they lowball their rehab numbers on how much it's going to cost to fix it, or both, which makes it even worse. You can take a good deal and make it a bad deal very quickly. And as an added bonus, I will tell you the second reason new investors make a mistake is that they just don't pull the trigger once they run all three steps. Once you finally do all three steps and your numbers work, do it. Make yourself some money. New videos come out every Thursday. Stay with us, keep with us. See you on the next one.